Alright, boys and girls, so this is going to be kind of a follow-up video to a previous video that I made, how to diagnose a bad fuel pump with starting fluid. So I wanted to add some more detail to this. It's not necessarily just a bad fuel pump, it's basically a representation of a no fuel situation. So it could be a number of different causes, but I want to go through the process again on how to do it, and then I'll explain a little bit more of what it could possibly be. So to simulate this, I pulled the fuel pump relay out right now. So I'll give it a start. Let's see what it looks like. That's basically you trying to start your engine and it just continues to crank, but it doesn't actually fire or do anything like that. So the way that you would verify that it's actually a no fuel situation with the starting fluid would be to spray some starting fluid into the intake. You can take this off. So what I'm going to do is take this piece off. I'm just going to use a flathead. There's a big clamp down here. I'm going to loosen this clamp up. This will be different, a little bit different for every vehicle, but it's kind of the same principle. Alright, so we just got done cranking it to prove that it's not going to start. So to show this, I solved the fuel pump relay out and take some of the starting fluid, dump it in here. There it actually started, ran for a little bit, and then it died. So basically what we did, we didn't have any fuel. We added a fuel source with the starting fluid, and we were able to get it to start it and run for a couple seconds before it ended up dying for a lack of fuel again. So what you're doing with the starting fluid is substituting your no fuel source. So now let's get into what could possibly cause this. Alright, so you have a cranks no start situation. You crank the engine, it cranks over, doesn't actually start. So to verify that you have a no fuel situation, you use the starting fluid, spray it in the intake, try to crank it over, see if it tries to fire. If it tries to fire, stumbles a little bit, or runs for a few seconds and then dies, now you know, you basically confirmed with the starting fluid that you have a no fuel type situation. So there's a few different things that could cause a no fuel situation. One I showed in the video already is a bad fuel pump relay. So that'd be a pretty common one. Fuel pump relay is bad, and it's as simple as pulling it out, plugging the new relay in, and then you're good to go. So I do have another video showing you how you can actually test the relay, so if you're interested in that, I can post a link in the description. They're pretty easy to troubleshoot, and they're really inexpensive to replace, so that would be a good option. So bad fuel pump relay, that would be a cause. Some vehicles actually have a separate fuse for the fuel pump. So you'd have a fuse, go through a relay, and your relay may be good, but you could have a bad fuse. So check for fuses, check the relay, and hopefully those would be your problem. That'd be the easiest thing. So one other one would obviously be a bad fuel pump. Bad fuel pump, little bit of a pain because you actually have to drop the tank out, fuel tank, pull the fuel pump out, put a new fuel pump, possibly a new sending unit in there. But that would obviously be one source for not getting fuel. Another situation would be a bad or a clogged fuel filter. So you may have a working relay, working fuse, working pump, but your fuel filter for whatever reason is clogged and it's not sending fuel or not sending enough fuel to the engine for it to actually start running. So that would be a relatively easy fix depending on the location of the fuel filter. So I just replaced a fuel filter on a different vehicle. It was like $8, $7 or $8, so they're pretty cheap. Another situation where you would have no fuel, which I actually did have on this truck about a year ago. I had no fuel, replaced the fuel pump, put it in, still didn't start, still had no fuel. So that one ended up actually being the wiring for the plug that goes to the wiring that goes to the tank. So there's like a spade on one end of the plug and then a female end that would go over, but it wasn't making contact actually inside the plug system, so I had to squeeze the contacts together in one end of the plug for it to actually go. And once I did that, this has been running fine since then. But that was another odd situation where I had no fuel, and that was the cause. That one took a little bit longer to troubleshoot and track down, but it didn't cost anything to fix it, so that was pretty nice. Like a clogged fuel filter, you could possibly have clogged fuel injectors. Let's say the clogged injectors are going to cause more of a misfire or stumbling type situation, unless you had some junk that just went in and clogged all the injectors at the same time, which is possible, but probably not likely. Another situation could be bad gas. You go to the gas pump and maybe there's some water or condensation somewhere inside the fuel, and you get water in the line, and you're cranking and it's not actually starting because you have high water content. So that's not the end of the world, really. They make things, additives that you can add to the fuel if you weren't able to actually empty the fuel out of the tank. If it wasn't terrible, you could add a bottle of heat, which is like a moisture remover, water remover from the fuel. Or if it's stumbling and not running very well, you might be able to get away with just using a bottle of heat. It's going to help run that fuel through the system. Let's say one other thing I could think of that would possibly cause a no fuel situation would be like a bad fuel pressure regulator. So fuel pressure regulator, you could actually be getting too much fuel, or you could be getting not enough fuel. But one other thing that I did want to mention that I've actually done, and I've heard about a couple other people have done and gotten away with, if the fuel pump is actually bad or going bad, sometimes you can tap on the bottom of the tank. Sometimes that'll get activate the pump. If it's trying to run and it's not actually running, you can tap on the tank where the fuel pump would be, and sometimes that'll get it to actually go. That's about it. Thanks for watching. This is how to diagnose a no fuel situation using starting fluid. I do have some other videos, like I said, on how to test the relays. I have another video on one-wire relay bypass. So if you do confirm that you have a bad relay and you're stuck somewhere, it's a way to jump over where the relay would be to get your fuel pump to run. If you're ever in that situation, you can check that video out. If you'd be interested in seeing any of the other diagnostic type items, one of the things that I was talking about, let me know. I could make other videos and show how that's done. So hopefully this video cleared the air a little bit. If you ever watched the other video that I had and did a little bit better job explaining that it's more of a no fuel situation than specifically a bad fuel pump situation. So this will work if you have a bad fuel pump and to get it to run for a second, and you can confirm that you have a no fuel situation. But there are multiple things that would cause the no fuel, no start situation. So hope you liked it. Hope it helps. Thanks for watching.